Hi, it is the Human Operating System time. So a question often asked is, can internal art used for fighting? Can internal art used for fighting? Especially after the Chinese MMA Xi Xiaodong defeat the internal art guys and so forth. People asking that questions. Well, now that is an issue here. Actually, is a very big problem, which is rooted on what in general people think about this internal art is no longer what the ancient means. It is no longer what the ancient Chinese mean. Okay, so today I like to analyze this and share with you so that once for all you have a clear view, you recognize this. Okay, ancient Chinese culture and technology is not that difficult. It is not magical, it's not mysterious, but one have to start to recognize what it is. And when one recognizes what it is, it's called enter into the door. So in the ancient time, the Sifu has to teach so that the student recognize what it is, which means enter the door. And after that, after the student recognize it, then student can go develop it. Okay? So let's begin with this. If you look at the internal art of China or Qigong for past few decades, maybe 70, 80 years, up to 90 years, or even up to 100 years ago, because this thing exists. What the people talk about the internal art, those stuff, is no longer what the ancient Chinese mean, because the people who use the term internal is not think like the ancient Chinese anymore. It's no longer Chinese culture. It is a big part of Western culture, Western mindset, using the Western mindset to understand things instead of recognize what the Chinese actually mean. So, for example, the very basic. This is 道法自然 in Mandarin, meaning that the way, the path accord to the nature, the way, the path accord to the nature. Okay. So I mean that if we are human beings, we need to accord with the nature because we are a part of the nature. So in fighting, this is nature. Your heart rate, your goal of training, what you need to train, or the states of your physiology. This is nature. Okay? So if we want to talk about fighting, then we have to recognize this is nature. Disregard of it is from ancient China or from the modern Western science, Western sports science, or universals. Okay? The universal goals as soon as you're human. This is nature. Now, once we know, we recognize what is the nature, then we have to solve each of the issue. Meaning that we have to train to get to the state of the training with a training goal so that we can achieve it. And then we have to watch out for our physical, which is your heart rate zone. This is zone 4, zone 5. If you want to fighting, you better get into the zone 4, zone 5, and you will be in the zone 4, zone 5. And then you have a different way of handling momentum in terms of the Chinese ancient, like Jana Qi Qi Guang classic. So this is nature. Now, if you look into the so-called internal today, whatever people talk about internal, they are not following this, what the Chinese, ancient Chinese teaching or ancient Chinese practice, where you have to accord to the nature. You have to look at the thing, you realize what it is, and then you accord with it. It's no longer. So what the present internal art based on? It's based on some kind of philosophy, qi, and nobody know what the heck is qi. Then they can quote, say, the Taoist writing or the Yellow Emperor classic. They can quote all those qi, but have no idea how to fit into here. So one is just talking something completely philosophical, which is it's just words, empty words, which is have nothing to do with nature. Okay? And then people will sometimes will drop names. I learned from this Sifu, and this Sifu is from this famous grandmaster of the internal art. Well, again, that got nothing to do with nature. Okay? And then you are going to, my lineage. I have this mind power. And this mind power is the in-depth of the art and so forth, so forth, so forth. Well, again, what has it got to do with this nature? Okay? And then you will go to, when people asking about the internal development, then you say, you know what, come, let's touch hand. I show you. Well, what is that got to do with this nature? Well, you can, if you're a strong guy, you don't have to train anything, you can beat the older people, older person, elderly, 80, 90 years old. Well, that is nature. The nature of what? Nature of physical. Got nothing to do with internal or external. Got nothing to do with this. So now you got an issue here. The internal people talk about is no longer the internal what the ancient talk about. Okay, people can just read all the Zen book, the Taoist book, the Yellow Emperor classic quoting and all sort of quoting. But one really not recognize what it is. And one is actually speculate in one's mind on what is internal. And that's why you end up this way. So that's why when I wrote that meditation matrix, I point out that what's going on there, the sequence. When I wrote the Wing Chun matrix, I point out that what happened in the ancient Chinese martial arts. When I wrote the basic Wing Chun art and sign, I point out what is the component, what is the element there, the 6 core element there, the 6, 13, 3. There is to recognize what the heck's going on here. And of course, that generates controversy with the people who have their philosophy of internal using their teacher, grand teacher, their styles, name or title as internal. Of course, there was a controversy, but there is no controversy. The bottom line is, you want to fight? This is the nature. According to the Chinese ancient teaching of Taoist, Tao mimic nature, or Tao accord to nature. It is not a philosophy or all kind of stuff like sometimes we in these days we talk about, you know, this is this type of philosophy, there is that type of philosophy, and then at the end is, you know, I am the center of the world. I think so, I interpret so, my view is so. Well, it's got nothing to do with anybody's view. You want to fight, you better satisfy this. Okay? This is reality. This is nature. Okay? So, this is the issue today. If we are not solving this, we keeping going our own way. That is not Chinese at all. That is not Tao mimic nature. It's not, hey, you know, whatever I say is Tao. Whatever my teacher say is Tao. My lineage say is Tao. My star say is Tao. According to Lao Tzu, according to the six patriarchs of Zen. Well, they didn't say that. The Lao Tzu and Tao and Zhuangzi and the six patriarchs didn't say that. We just thinking it is when it is not what it is. So this is the mess. If we not be able to recognize what it is and not be able to shift the paradigm of the way how we think, look into it, what the heck it is, before coding that philosophy and all those kind of stuff. We are not going to go anywhere. Like for example, when I wrote the Wing Chun Matrix, many friends wrote me saying that, Hendrik, you are wrong. Well, the issue is what they don't recognize is not me. I just pull the curtain, let you see what is behind that 150, 160 years ago. So people, of course, you know, when they take their teacher or their lineage idea is proper, when they see that, well, people cannot accept that. But the Chinese is saying that you need to recognize what is the nature. Okay? So, to answer the question, can internal art fight? Well, that depends on what is the internal art. For the Chinese, a full comprehensive develop of this is called 内功拳, internal develop martial arts. That is what it is, okay? By the definitions, by what the ancient Chinese present, by data, by evidence. But today's is a different type of stuff. So this is what I like to share with you today. Be careful. When study anything, we need to recognize what it is. Otherwise, it is a mess. So if you want to talk about push hand, Fajing, well, it is belong to the zone 2, zone 3 conditioning stuff. I mean, it's nothing bad about it, but you want to go saying that, promote that to a magic power for fighting in the zone 4, zone 5, the full force, full accelerated impulse momentum exchange, forget about it. One never trained that way. One never trained that. It's just like we can drive down into the sea for say 15 feet, but that is not going to go down to the submarine level. For you can go down to hundreds of meters, and when the wall is under there hundreds of meters, to be able to drive down underwater for a few tens of feet is just too far to know what is going on under there, where the submarine have the wall making a wall there. So this is for you today.